Mac, as someone who has younger siblings, you
Mm-hmm.
have nieces and nephews.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever come across Kidz Bop?
Kidz Bop?
Kidz Bop.
Yeah, Kidz Bop was around when we were kids, 10, 12, 11, 12.
Have you listened to Kidz Bop?
Not in a while.
Okay, good. So I have a little, I can't play any music. We don't own the rights to any of this music.
Okay.
But I am going to read you the original line from a song, and I
Yeah.
need you to tell me how Kidz Bop changed that line.
Okay. What's the year range here for these songs?
So you know all these songs, and I'll tell
Okay.
you which Kidz Bop it's off of.
Oh, that doesn't help me at all.
Mac, from Kidz Bop 24, one of your favorites.
Right.
The song Thrift Shop by Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. You know it?
Yeah, of course.
I'm gonna pop some tags.
Well, I got $20 in my pocket.
The original line from the song is, walk up to the club like, what up? I got a big cock. What do you think Kid Bop says?
I thought he says dick. Does it say cock?
I'm looking at cock right here.
Oh, I got a big house.
You think the kids say, I got a big house?
Yeah, that's what I'm going with. Lock it in.
The kids say, walk up to the club like, what up? I got a hit song.
Okay. Good enough.
Okay, so you're kind of feeling where they're going with this.
That's not bad. They avoided the big altogether.
Yeah.
I would have just put a different noun in there.
From Kidz Bop 40, the song Truth Hurts by Lizzo. Are you aware of it?
Great tune.
The original line is, I'm 100% that bitch.
Just took a DNA test. Turns out I'm 100% that bitch.
What do the kids say?
Just took a DNA test. Turns out I'm 100% the best.
That's not bad, actually. Not the answer. I'm 100% that kid.
Oh, so they did what I wanted them to do on the first one. All right, fair enough.
Okay, once again, from Kidz Bop 24, once again, Thrift Shop. Are you aware of the song by Macklemore?
Circling back to Thrift
and
Shop
Ryan
here.
Lewis.
Okay.
Well, there's a lot of line changes in this song. It's a lot of cussing. So probably should have washed this. Smells like R. Kelly's sheets. What do the kids say?
The kids say, no, Mr. Kelly. Can I get the line one more time?
Probably should have washed this. Smells like R. Kelly's sheets.
Oh boy. I don't know which direction to go with this one. They're not gonna name drop anyone. So it'll be like really broad. Smells like, I don't know, something feet, because feet is close to sheet.
You're close.
Smells like dirty socks.
Probably should have washed this. Smells like my baseball cleats.
Someone really cooked. They heard sheets and they said, I've been waiting for a cleat rhyme my whole life.
Let's keep going. Kidz Bop 22.
Yeah,
sure. Nicki Minaj, Starships. Have you heard
Starships are meant to fly.
I can tell that you have. There's a line in the song that says, we're higher than a motherfucker.
Higher than a motherfucker.
What do the Kidz Bop say?
Higher than, it won't be mother lover. They won't even use mother at all. Higher than I don't know. This one's got me caught up pretty good. I'm blank on this one.
We're Kidz Bop and we're taking over.
Hold on. So that replaced a lot of words there.
Yep.
Can you give me the Nicki Minaj line one more time?
We're higher than a motherfucker.
And the Kidz Bop line is,
we're Kidz Bop and we're taking over.
That's the worst one by far.
One, goo, three, yeah. Goo. Jaws 3. Goo. King of Queens. Goo. Meryl Streep. Entertainment.
Yeah, I'm Goo.
And I am Mac.
And we are the Mac and Goo program. We bring you redemption.
Ooh, vengeance.
It's a dish best served cold.
Today we are discussing the latest I don't know it's not a blockbuster, so I don't know how you would categorize this movie, but
It's not a blockbuster. I
the
think it only
latest
made
release that we were
Yes.
excited for.
it only made $10 million over the first weekend it was released,
Okay.
and Netflix passed on it? Question mark.
A while back. So
Yes.
a little peel the onion back here, because that's a saying. This movie started shooting before the pandemic, and then it kind of went into some turmoil. And Jordan Peele came in and saved it, and that is in part how it got to the big screen, ultimately with Universal. But it was for a moment a little bit dead. Netflix had passed on it. They're absolute morons for passing on this. I'll say that this would be one of the best, if not the best, Netflix movie they've
Netflix
ever
makes 2 Ryan Reynolds movies a year, and
Yeah.
they're the exact same thing.
Makes no sense why they'd pass on this. What were we talking about before the money? Oh, how to categorize this? I would say after seeing the initial trailer, this became one of like the dozen or so movies I was looking forward to most of 2024. And with that in mind, I don't know if it quite lived up to that expectation, but this was a pretty good movie. We are, of course, talking about Monkey Man, Dev Patel's directorial debut. This is a rated R action and thriller with a runtime of 113 minutes, just under 2 hours. On Rotten Tomatoes, Roddy T's 88% from the critics, 83% from the audience, a crisp 71 on Metacritic. That all seems right to me. Nothing sticks out there, so I guess I have no bones to pick with either of those two websites. This movie is written by Paul. Stick with me here, Paul Anganawella, who you would know from nothing. Knows there's nothing he's done that you would know. Also, Dev Patel was a writer here. The most notable of the 3 writers is John Cawley. He's had a 25-year career or so. You know, Master and Commander, the Russell Crowe movie. He also was the writer on Happy Feet, How about that for a catalog? So it seems like they brought him in because Paul and Dev were kind of inexperienced as screenwriters, and I think he probably helped them along. Like I said, this is Dev Patel's full-length directorial debut. He had done a couple shorts before. I will say, and it's not one of the bigger takeaways from the movie, but the movie to me does feel like someone's first time directing, in that it felt like this is directed by someone freshly out of art school. They really wanted to throw some imagery at you. They really wanted to throw some dream stuff at you and like really get across some metaphors, sort of to a fault at times. And there's a couple sequences in this movie where I'm like, this is kind of taking me out of was supposed to be like a roller coaster ride of a movie. So that's what I'll say about the director.
Let me ask you a question. Obviously, the movie also stars Dev Patel. I have seen reviews go both ways on this. Do you prefer, in this movie alone, Dev Patel the director or Dev Patel the actor?
I would say Dev Patel the actor by a mile. On the flip side of this, I was to say the best thing about the movie was Dev Patel's performance. I thought he was fucking amazing.
I thought you were about to ride the fence like, Dev Patel. I just asked you for one or the other.
I don't think the directing was bad.
Yeah.
It just felt like someone wanted to use everything they've learned instead of just like spotting stuff here and there. It's like, oh, look at this metaphor. Oh, look at this dream sequence that's supposed to mean. Like, that's what it felt like to me, honestly.
Okay.
The synopsis of this movie: an anonymous young man unleashes a campaign of vengeance against the corrupt leaders who murdered his mother and continue to systemically, I think you could go with either one, systemically victimize the poor and powerless. Now, with that synopsis, it would lead you to believe that this movie is more quickly paced and there's more action and fighting in it than there really is.
This makes it sound like they stole my car and killed my dog, and from the get-go, I'm out to kill.
And the trailer conveys that as well. The trailer makes you think this is going to be
what this movie
John Wick-y paced.
There's a lot more rises and falling, and it's a lot more ramping up like a roller coaster. Like, you might get 2.5 John Wick-like scenes, with one of them at the end being a real big one, but don't expect that to be the full. Like, don't expect John Wick 3. Where it's just wall-to-wall action.
This is, it's actually like a Shakespearean type of story underneath it all. And at times, it's what makes you root so hard for the main character played by Dev Patel. At other times, it gets in the way of the best parts of the movie. Like I always say it. I don't like action for the sake of action, but you also can't throw an action movie at me and then go from 60 to 0 and like really try to get into some heartfelt stuff when my heart was just racing. My heart beats at 180, and now all of a sudden I'm just like, whoa, wait, what the hell are we doing? And this movie does that a couple times.
And about as we're climbing back up that roller coaster to get toward that big climax, you are like, when are we gonna get here?
100%.
What
I checked
is
my phone.
And then it does pay off. Just to get quickly to Satisfactor, it does hit what you want it to hit.
The last 30 minutes of the movie are fucking awesome. Borderline amazing.
I have one critique, and we'll get to it in spoilers.
I also have a critique. That
I have one note. That's it.
The last 30 minutes felt like what the whole movie should have been. Now, I don't know if they could have done that, but at the end of somewhere in the middle of Act 2, actually, or at the end of Act 1, however you want to define it, after the car chase, you're like, all right, we're rolling. This is going to be what this movie's about. And then we take about 45 minutes off from that.
So while I think that could be shorter, I do think you needed that rebuild to actually get us to, really feel that we've accomplished something by the time that we got to the final act. And also, I wouldn't want 2 hours of what that final act was, because then that is just John Wick. And also, I don't think the stunts and the way that things are shot in this stand out above other action thrillers to the point of you can do that for 2 hours. You needed the other stuff to build the story.
I totally agree with you in the big picture of things here. And I even like the fact that the hero gets knocked down and he has to come back. Like, that story is always going to work. However, after getting knocked down, there was just too much messiness, and
that's what I said. You can cut that a little bit.
Yes. So
but you
say
needed
2 hours of, this movie could have been 90 minutes, and I think it would have been a lot better. There's a little too much of and this is what my main gripe of the movie is. Like, we care about the main storyline, and then there's these couple other things that they throw in there, I think, to try to add some depth to the story, and it doesn't necessarily hit. It sort of just gets in the way of what we want to see.
Here we go. Bob Odenkirk's Nobody, 92 minutes long.
Yep. Perfect. If this movie was that, it would have been very similar feeling to that too. That movie's awesome. That movie kicks ass. That was like, I think, my 5th favorite movie of 2021. I think that came out.
And let me ask you this off the top of your head. How many of the the kills in this really stand out to you?
There was probably like 3 or 4 in that final 30 minutes that were pretty awesome.
Because I have one that stands out, but if you're comparing it to Nobody, like, I think of that bus scene over anything in this.
The bus scene in Nobody is better than anything in this movie.
Even the 4 Wick movies, there's probably 15 of them that would 20 that would pop over this.
Dev Patel as Kid, they don't give him a name. He takes on a fake name in this movie. He's never identified. No real name given to him. Like I said, I thought the best part of the movie was Dev Patel. I think he does a wonderful job. Sharlto Copley as Tiger. This is the South African or New Zealand gentleman that runs that fighting ring. Maybe he was New Zealand, Australian. I don't really know. He's something. Let's say South African. Why not?
Yeah.
Pito Bash as Alfonso. This was Mr. Limpy, like the right-hand man there of Queenie. I'm just going to refer to him as Limpy from here on out. Vipin Sharma as Alpha. This was the trans person at the temple, like the head of the temple, aka Alpha, which they play a decent role in this movie. And I didn't mind it, but it was a little much. I felt like we almost get into like a Rocky like montage.
They get to a point. So I didn't mind the training of it, but they get to something in the 3rd act that I was like, oh, this is what we're gonna do with this.
Yeah, a little bizarre for sure.
Yeah.
Sikander Kerr as Rana. This was the police chief. For lack of a better term, the villain of the movie. He's a real son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Adithi Kalkunte as Neela. This was the mother of Dev Patel's character. I don't know if they ever name her, but that's what her name is in the credits. Sobita Dulapala as Sita. That was the sultry young lady at the brothel there.
Oh.
The one that he has a small little relationship with.
I thought she was very good in it.
She was good.
Yeah.
Seemed like an unnecessary character, but she was good. Ashwini Kalaskar as Queenie. She was like the head of the brothel. She was the woman boss whose office was on the 1st floor there. MACandGUpodcast Deshpande as Baba Shakti. He was like this religious figure that's sort of overseeing all of it. And then Zakir Hussain as Tabla Maestro. This was the temple drummer that also played up in that little montage scene. And I guess the other thing that we should know here or explain to people if they missed it, Hanuman is, I guess, an Indian deity, God, I don't know what you would call it, is the monkey man. And that's the whole premise for this movie, the whole idea behind it, that his mother tells him the story of Hanuman, and that's how he seeks his inspiration.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier how you believe that he had all of these thoughts and he wanted to put a bunch of different imagery from stuff that he's seen into this movie. And I found on X, someone posted this. I'm sorry I don't have who posted it or who originally posted it. So that person probably stole it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But there's a shot of the kid with his fist by his waist next to Arthur. It's the exact same image.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that happens quite a bit more.
Arthur was the first. That's when he hit DW.
It's true. Great.
DW was out of line though, right?
DW. I'm not going to call her what I'd like to call her, but she's an all-time one of those.
When we go to do our best television villains of all time.
Oh, good addition.
Keep that locked up. Will be on there.
I'm going to absolutely forget. So keep that in.
Well, who's worse, DW or Angelica?
Angelica is it's a different dynamic because DW is the younger sister who's an annoying little fuck, I guess, for lack of a better term, where Angelica is older and has more of a power thing. So I guess she's a better villain.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's get back to Monkey Man. Calm down.
You want to get through the gauntlet here?
Before we do that, let me get into this, is that I went to see this movie, Watertown, Majestic 7, love the theater. I went and I bought tickets while I was there. I did not pre-order my ticket. So it was already 7:10 and the movie was supposed to start at 7:10. So really it's a 7:15, 7:20 start. And he turned the screen around for me to choose my seat. And what I did by accident is I thought that I was picking the back row and I took front row center.
You are a moron.
So as I was looking at my ticket, I'm like, A's not in the back. A's in the front.
God, no.
So I went and I picked a seat in the back and I was asked 4 times to please get out of people's seats.
It was that full? You had a nice full auditorium?
Nice full audience. It was like I was at a fucking sporting event, though, where it's like, hey, buddy, you're in my seat. Yeah. It's the 7th inning. Can't you just sit over there?
You should have just got up and left at that point. After the second time, like, I'm not going to the front. Fuck that. I saw it in a theater with one other person. Same theater, but daytime. Everyone was out looking at the clips, I guess. I was watching Monkey Man. I did not have that issue because I generally pick the same seat every time.
It's actually taped off for Mac at that theater. Gauntlet?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's get to the Gauntlet fun factor. I think the fights are solid in this. I think they are fun, but I don't think they are up to what Wick gives us or like the creativity of some of these other action thrillers. But I think what helps it stick out is that you needed that big build up to get there. It wasn't just wall-to-wall action. It was, let's build up, let's bring it down. Let's bring it up. And also, at the end of the first fight there, it wasn't necessarily a clean break. It was, let's fucking regroup ourselves. Let's try and figure this out. And that's what leads to a little more excitement, a little more satisfactor in that final scene.
Yeah, I had some fun with this movie. I thought, oddly, there were 2 or 3 moments in this movie, which, by the way, was pretty serious of a movie. There's no real lightheartedness in this movie, but 2 or 3 times they try to be funny, and it fell so flat. Like the Nicki Minaj line, not great. When he tries to jump out the window and doesn't, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what is he gonna say? Zoinks? Like, what the fuck was that? It was
that would have been a great line.
It was weird. It felt like there was 2 or 3 moments that were like, they're like, oh, we're gonna do a little comedic relief, but it didn't fit tonally at all with the movie. It was very, very weird. So I did have fun, but there was the funniness they went for did not hit.
And I actually do like the fact that you could feel a lot of the pain from the action in this. Like you could tell that people were getting hurt.
Yeah. And I think that's I don't know if Dev Patel did all the stunts and whatnot. It did have that very real feeling to it, though. You're right.
Satisfactor. It takes a smidge to get there, but I think that builds towards the satisfaction at the end.
Yeah, definitely a satisfying conclusion. And I really like the last shot of the movie too. I very much enjoyed the ending. It is satisfying.
Borometer, it takes a while to get there. And while I do like the build up to get there, they probably could have shaved off a little bit in that back end of the second act, top of the third.
For a movie that's under 2 hours, it really didn't feel like it. It felt like it was 2:15, maybe 2:30. It lost me. It lost me in that exact moment you're talking about. And I understand the character needs to go through that transformation, that understanding, that awakening, that enlightening that he has. Just where they place it in the movie just didn't work, because like I said, you go from this crazy chase scene, he's running across roofs, and then all of a sudden for a good 30 to 40 minutes really nothing happens.
Halloween, will this wane over time? I think it will.
Yeah, there'll be a couple like good clips that'll make it on TikTok, but there's not a ton here to come back.
Actually, I was just going to ask you, do you think us remembering that final scene for being pretty fucking cool, will that make us kind of forget the rest of the movie as we move further away from it?
I think it's always easy to forgive movies when the ending is satisfying or satisfactory, as opposed to movies that were, let's say, 80% of the runtime was good and they slip and fall on the landing. I always prefer landing strong.
Jeez, I just caught myself there. Halloween. We just did this.
Yeah.
Aquator. Is it better or worse than 2017's Aquaman?
Definitely better.
Yes, it's better than Aquaman. Max Credit Union. Who are you giving credit to?
I guess Dev Patel, because he did everything, and I think his acting is the best part of the movie. So yeah, Dev Patel. Not like a. To me, this isn't one of those things where I'm like, oh, you got to go see Dev Patel in this movie. But after watching the movie, it's like, all right, Dev Patel did a great job. If that makes sense to you, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not now going out of my way to tell people to go see Monkey Man. It wasn't that good, and he wasn't that good, but he was the best thing in the movie.
Do you think that the villains were two-dimensional? Like,
so I also
they were bad guys. They were just bad guys.
I also didn't know, and so obviously, Dev Patel's background. He's first generation English, but his parents were Indian immigrants. So I also couldn't tell if he was somehow paying homage to some Indian films he liked or to Indian cinema. For example, a couple years ago, you loved a movie called RRR, which was patently outrageous. I didn't care for it. You loved it. I wasn't sure if this was trying to do some of that type of stuff. It didn't really, but like the villains were kind of outlandish.
They should have had a dance sequence in this movie. That would have really broken it out. That would have really lightened the mood.
So you're right about the point you're making. I just didn't. I'm sure it was intentional. Yes.
Pants Tent City, Excite Bike Mania. What got you going? Did it get you going? It did, but not as much as I thought it was going to.
I loved the brutality of the kill. So we sort of get, the film is brutal, but there's really no murders up until the final 30 or so minutes. And I wasn't sure if they were going to like half-ass it. They did not. They full-ass it. The last 30 minutes, maybe not full pants tent, but we get pretty close. It was a fun final 30 minutes for sure.
For those of you tardy to the Mac and Goo Party, we rate everything on a 40 hot dog rating system. And Mac, for all of what we just said about this movie, where I do think that it was fun, maybe not as fun as I was expecting with that revenge thriller action aspect of it. It didn't quite reach the highs visually that I think Wick, Nobody, some of those other movies did. Even RRR had some amazing visuals in there as well. I really do think that buildup, while long, I think that adds to the final scene and it makes it kind of worth it. It made it where, yes, it's a big, like, okay, let's get back into shape. Let's find ourselves spiritually, like you said. And it goes on a tick too long. But the fact that you got that payoff, it's a recommendation now. The payoff makes it a recommendation. I got it at 33 hot dogs. And as of right now, second best movie on the year.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything you're saying. I think we're roughly in the same range. I think I have a couple more nitpicks or a couple more gripes. The relationship with Mr. Limpy there, like never felt complete to me. Like it was kind of forced upon us and we just had to accept it. But all of a sudden those characters were really there for each other and that was hard to buy. But they also are very vague about the timeline of this movie. So we see at one point that the election is coming up in like 34 days. So we know the movie probably takes place over like 45, 50 days, something like that. I don't know. It was just hard to buy their connection. I didn't care for that. I also felt like that sultry lady there, the lady in the green dress that he speaks to, was like, did she remind him of his mother? Like there was like a weird thing there that they never really explore or
Wasn't
explain.
she just from the forest? Wasn't she just from?
I don't know. They
like,
don't explain it.
Isn't that what the tattoo meant?
I have no idea. I
Okay.
have no clue. He knows what the bird is, but yes, maybe they're from the same area. Maybe that's the connection.
Or maybe he loves bird watching.
It's possible. It's possible. Again, I felt like the couple funny moments didn't hit. Totally did made no sense with the movie whatsoever. All that said, the movie does have a good heart here and a good central story. It's the best part of the movie, even though it is a little messy in delivering its message. We can always get on board with a sweet revenge flick, and that's ultimately what this is. So it did that good enough to, like you said, be a recommendation. I got it 32 hot dogs, my number 3 movie of 2024. I was probably a dog or two higher when I left the theater, but the movie ultimately feels uneven. And there are a couple great things in here. It's just messy. The movie feels messy, and it feels like it was a first-time director. Clean it up a little bit, and maybe this is like a 36 dog movie, maybe in the nobody range. It had that potential. It had a similar feeling, definitely from the jump. It just didn't quite get the highs of nobody.
Shall we spoil?
Let's do it.
Spoiler.
Spoilers.
The only note, if I was Jordan Peele, that I would have gave to him is you leave that mask on.
So
when you go back to the building with your fucking mask on, don't take it off before you get in. At least take out a full floor of people with that mask on.
I thought that was very strange. He comes down that alley, he has the mask on. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be kind of cool. Immediately takes it off.
Yeah.
See, in my head, it plays out where he only takes it off when he gets back in front of the chief so that they can see the emotion in each other's faces. That to me would have been better, but they don't do that. So I agree.
But I will say this, the scene prior when he gets back into the bare knuckle boxing and he just kicks that guy right in the throat, that might have been the funniest moment of the movie.
That for sure. It was almost like an Indiana Jones thing.
Indiana Jones, yeah.
Yeah, that's what you kind of think of. That was pretty good. That was the best humor that they landed for sure. He does a little spinning back kick and knocks the guy out.
All right, I'm done. So
so again, quick background here. What we ultimately learn is that this police chief that he's seeking revenge on and vengeance for his mother murdered his mother in a fantastically brutal way.
Yes.
He chokes her basically lifeless and then fucking lights her in the building on fire. That is horribly gruesome. So that you're like, oh yeah, this guy needs to die 1000%. We also find out that the Baba Shakti was behind it all. He's the one pulling strings, but they don't show us that to the end. And they are just weirdly spotting him throughout the movie prior to that with no connection between him and Dev Patel's character. And they don't make it explicit that Dev Patel even knows that Baba Shakti's behind all of this. So it didn't make a ton of sense for the Baba Shakti to be like the final boss at the end of this movie.
It just seems like the let's kill the rich type of thing.
Yeah,
the end.
which is fair. It's just I didn't care for him being the final boss. I did like his little slipper knife thing though. That was cool.
I do think that the standout kill from this movie is when he's on the elevator and he's able to finally get the knife into the guy's neck and he can't push it further and he uses his mouth to.
Yeah. Never seen that before. That's for sure.
Yeah, that is the standout kill.
Very unique kill for sure.
Yeah.
Of course, it opened with us getting the story of Hanuman from his mother.
I like that.
I did like the classic keep your friends close, your enemies closer thing at the beginning here, where he gets a job at the brothel where all these rich people from the city go. Like I like that, ingratiating himself with these people. And he does that by building this relationship with Limpy. But again, I didn't care for that relationship. And then again, the weird connection with Sita, the woman that worked at the brothel, was, I don't know. And he overhears the conversation between Sita and Queenie. Presumably she gets pregnant and she forces Sita to have an abortion, which is why Sita kills her at the end, basically. Like that felt a little off. We didn't really need that or that storyline whatsoever. Goo.
Yes.
He befriends a sweet alley dog at one point in this movie, and he's central to the first assassination attempt, sneaking the gun onto the premises. We never see the puppy again. I wanted to have a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood type of situation here where the dog also joins in on the assault.
Say when the dog walks in with a flamethrower. No, and I do like the fact that he had this whole plan thought out. He had this whole assassination, this whole pretty much terrorist attack planned out for him to go in there and kill this police chief, but he didn't have the balls to do it. And he needed to not only build himself up physically,
mentally,
smart.
All upstairs. Yeah, no, I agree. And I also liked the original plan of putting the bleach and the cocaine so that the chief had to go to the bathroom and he corners him in there. I liked all of that. That was good. And then that's sort of where we hit the brakes and we end up at this temple. I don't know how he gets from the river to the temple, though. He gets fucking clipped from the helicopter in the water, and then all of a sudden he ends up at this temple.
They find him, right?
How? I don't know.
Didn't they say that they saw him go in there and then they went and they got him? Question mark?
I guess. I don't know. So he ends up at this temple with what appear to be all trans people. And these people have been basically ostracized from the city, from the community. So they've now kind of come to this temple to seek refuge. And since he is now being ostracized, he's on the run. They take him in, they nurse him back to health. So that I get why they do that. And it made sense why the temple did that for him. It just went on a little too long there. And then like the stuff with the drummer was fucking weird. Like
it's music. You like music.
It was fine. Like I said, we went from this rising action of the assassination attempt car chase, and then we're just down here in this valley for too long. It was necessary for character motivations and to make Dev Patel's character whole. It just happened for too many minutes. That's my opinion.
When they join the killing after, and they're all pretty skilled with their weaponry too.
Yep.
I didn't see them training or anything.
Right. Also weird. And then one had a sickle. Like that was I'm not gonna say jumping the shark, but I'm like, all right, like I can kind of buy this. This is fine.
Yeah.
But then we get past that. They all kick a bunch of ass on that first floor. But prior to that, actually, I wanted to make this point. He turns on the gas in the kitchen with the open flame, and there is an explosion in the building, but somehow no fire, no smoke. The building's fine. They just keep fighting throughout the building.
Fire safety Mac is back.
Didn't make a lot of sense. He gets up to the champagne room, kills the chief of police in a very satisfying way. That was good. He lets the little political guy escape, which also felt like we didn't need all that stuff that was just kind of tossed in there.
Or then even like you don't mean anything. You are pointless to all of this. You're just a puppet. If I don't kill you, you have nothing without these people anyways.
Yeah, that's essentially what you gather from that. And then he goes into that final area where there was a pool, I guess, where Baba Shakti is. He kills Baba Shakti, but also seemingly he dies there too. It's a little ambiguous, but I like the way that it ended where he's finally like at peace with himself and you don't necessarily know if he makes it or not. It was a good ending to the movie.
I agree. And like, that's what his purpose was. And they even talked about what your purpose is, who you are. And his job was to not only get revenge for his mother, but for his people.
Yeah, and he also gifts the temple with all that money too, which is like a nice little thing, but definitely feels shoehorned in there.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, 33 hot dogs.
32 hot dogs.
Yeah, go and check it out.
I don't regret paying money to see it. I'll say that.
Let's get into MACsack.
And MACsack could be anything. It could be a boat. And Mac, you actually have something in your sack.
Yeah, I thought about this as I leave a movie titled Monkey Man, in which a man wears a monkey mask, and also being a couple months removed from Dune 2, where Paul Atreides chooses a desert mouse, Muad'Dib, to sort of take on his personality or take on the personality and traits of that animal. I ask you, Goo,
yes,
if you had to embody an animal or take on the traits of said animal as your sort of personality as like a vigilante or a leader of people, what animal would you choose?
As a vigilante. Okay. I guess a bat.
So what about
No,
bats then?
I'm fucking with you. I'm not Batman. I actually did look this up earlier, and I think that I came to a pretty good conclusion here. There is an animal that symbolizes friendship, peace, mischievousness, kindness, and family.
Ooh,
It is the otter.
the otter. Okay. All right. Yeah. They hold hands with their loved ones while they're floating there.
Mm-hmm. Creative.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah. They're smart animals too. They use tools. One of the few animals that uses tools too.
I put things on my belly when I eat them.
That's an acceptable answer. How would you possibly fashion your would you do an otter mask, or would you have an outfit?
Yeah, I would definitely do something that's like kind of slimy, that when I dive into the water, I get a little extra Zeus.
Sure. Sure. I felt like
I went through like 25 animals.
I went this was one of the first ones I thought of. I think dolphin's an easy answer because they're smart, but how are you going to convey dolphin? Owl for me, Goo, because owls are wise. They can fly.
Judgmental.
They can look pretty cool. They're also predators as well, and they do the whole neck thing. I guess I'd probably have an outfit similar to the dude in Watchmen. That's what I would have. Nice little floating owl vehicle too.
Yeah, some others that I took a look at, meerkats, because they're naturally anxious.
So that would be more you and the meerkat are similar.
Yeah, it's pretty much it. The duck-billed platypus.
Right. I'm a fan of the blue-footed booby.
Yeah, they're an odd creature. I looked into a possum.
Why possum?
I just thought they were cool.
Okay. You're the first person on the planet to think possums are cool.
I almost went with a raccoon, but I'm the opposite of nocturnal. I can't stay up past 9, so can't do that.
I do like raccoons. Also smart. I don't know if they use tools, but they have opposable thumbs. So
they have thumbs that people sometimes think of them as being monkeys.
I think monkeys are bigger than raccoons.
No, like they get comparisons because of their thumb in their brains.
Okay, fair enough.
And then I looked at a lot of animals in the weasel family.
I'd like to have a list. Maybe I'll look it up when we're done here. List of animals that have opposable thumbs. I'd like to see that list.
I think it's primates and raccoons.
That's it? There's got to be more.
So. No, I think it's just those.
Got to be more.
You can look it up all you want.
What about like sloths? Do sloths have thumbs?
We have 3 fingers.
Yeah, you might be right about that.
Yeah. I guess a sloth for you too, because you look like one.
Yeah, I always went kangaroo.
Kangaroo.
I like because kangaroos are kind of cool. I don't know what I couldn't wear really a kangaroo mask though. My costume would just have to have a long ass tail.
Well, I think I'm like, so Monkey Man also in Dune 2, they're not wearing costumes to
no, I know, but you have to embody it in some way. He wears the monkey mask
spiritually.
Paul Atreides sort of acts a bit like the desert mouse. So I was trying to think in that vein, but I'm thinking in this world, if I were gonna embody something, I would naturally have to wear or try to look like the animal.
No, I would wear the mask up until the last possible second and then take it off before the fight.
I would take it off beforehand because I know I'd be breathing heavy. That's why
we can't see your face, but we can hear you breathing. You're Mac, right? I looked up so many effing animals earlier. I spent way too much time on this dumb question.
Oh, good. You got a good answer though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Mac, where can the people find us?
You can find us on Twitter and on Instagram at MACandGUpodcast. On every other platform, we are MAC_Goo. That includes Mac Shift 7 Goo. That includes Facebook, Stitcher, Castbox, Spreaker, Google Play, iHeartRadio. We're on Spotify. More importantly, we're on Apple Podcasts. Get on there, rate, review, subscribe, 5 stars. If you do that, we'll get you a free Mac and Goo t-shirt from the folks over at Watertown Sportswear. That's Watertown Sportswear on 34 Mount Auburn Street in Watertown. WatertownSportswear.com, expert screen printing and embroidery.
tpublic.com. Check us out at the end of the week for a news dump. I know we got a trailer for Maxine today. We're going to get one for Joker. Today is Goose Day, actually, so we'll get one today for Joker. So looking forward to that. Hear us talk about it at the end of the week. Now it's time for...
to do Invincible next week.
I would have to watch Invincible. I haven't watched any of season 2.
Well, I got 4 episodes. You got 8 episodes.
That's a lot of episodes.
That is 8 episodes.
I got no time.
You got time. You got time.
I broke my glasses.
You wear glasses?
No, that's a reference to the Twilight Zone.
Oh.
Remember when that guy finally
Fair enough.
had time? He could read all of the books, and then his
He needs
glasses
his
broke.
glasses.
No, that's
Where
a
is
different thing.
glasses?
That is from
My
Girl.
Girl. Yeah. Sad scene.
It's actually, I was at work the other day, and we started just doing a bee reference off. It was pretty good. There's a lot of references to bees in movies and television.
Why did you do that?
Someone did a story about bees and how they're all moving to Texas or something.
Okay. All right.
So then, you got Arrested
cheaper to live
Development.
there.
Beads? Bees.
Goo.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this a little bit on Dump. On the pipeline, we will have an episode surrounding Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh,
Curb Your Enthusiasm finale. Couldn't believe he did it. I had a shit-eating grin the whole time.
Talking about honeybees. We're going to talk about honeybees.
I thought it was fucking great. This past season of Curb was very good. Curb got to the point where he could wake up, write a Curb episode, and it was going to be good no matter what. But there were a couple all-timers this past season. So
I only saw the last scene. Do I have to watch the last 2 episodes?
You got to watch the whole series.
The whole series?
What season did you stop watching?
When they went to Paris. That was my last episode.
When they went to Paris.
Yeah, when him and JB Smoove went to Paris.
The end of 9?
It might be the end of 9. It was the Michael J. Fox episode.
Oh, that's like the end of 8.
That's the end of 9, I think.
That's a while ago.
That was a really good season too. They just took a lot of time off in between.
Yeah, that's when they go to New York because Larry told the guy he was going to New York, so then he had to actually commit to it, so he wouldn't go to the fundraiser.
Right.
Maybe we could do. I don't know. At the very least, we could do like top 10 Curb guest stars. I don't know. There's a lot of things we could do Curb related. So
give me like 3 years and I'll get these all done.
Finale was 54 minutes too, which was nice.
All right. So Tuesdays or Goose Days, I abuse kangaroos. Tim Burton.
Bye.
Please flip the cassette over to side B to continue the adventure.